I was today years old when I found out that the Booker Prize actually gave out two prizes. The standard one and the international one. Hi and welcome. If you're new to this channel, I'm Øystein and I'm trying to become a bookworm. And I'm trying to take you on that journey with me. Today we're going to talk about the regular Booker Prize for 2021 and the long list. I know I'm a little late, but I would be eager to find out if there's any books that I might want to read before the shortlist comes out later in September. Later in the video, I'll show you which videos that rank highest from the Goodreads statistics, and I will also talk about who I think I will read and who I think will go to the shortlist, and which books I think I will enjoy reading the most. The Booker Prize is of course one of the first awards I think of when I think about awards given to literature, besides the Pulitzer Prize and the Nobel Prize for Literature. On the homepage of the Booker Prize it says, "The Booker Prize is a leading literary award in the English-speaking world and has brought recognition, reward and readership to outstanding fiction for over 5 decades. Each year the prize is awarded to what is, in the opinion of the judges, the best novel of the year written in English and published in the UK and Ireland. It's a prize that transforms the winner's career." On the homepage it also says a lot about the importance of the books and the translators, and of course it's very nice to see that the translators also is given credit in this award. So when I'm looking for books, I go to websites that sells books, and you can type in Booker Prize in the search field. And I found Booker Prize nominees, shortlist, longlist, and winners. At some point I decided I wanted to read the winners for so many years, but I didn't quite understand it because some had already won in 2021, and I couldn't get this in line with the things I saw at the Booker homepage. But suddenly I realized that there were actually 2 awards, and many of you now are thinking that how did he not understand this earlier? And of course, on the books it says the 2020 Booker Prize here, and on this book it says shortlisted for the 2021 International Booker Prize. In retrospect, I should have understood things a lot clearer a long time ago. I have not read any of these books, but I've seen them a lot around on the internet, of course, by people recommending many of them, and I'll get more into which books people have talked most about and maybe you've heard about. In the end, I will go through which books I think I will read. There are 13 books on the long list, so let's get started. The first book is A Passage North by Anuk Pragatham, and the book is about 304 pages. So this book is about a young man's journey back to Sri Lanka's war-torn north, a man that has moved to Delhi and has to come back for a funeral in Sri Lanka. And from what I gather from Goodreads, it seems like the book is about coming to terms with the devastation and war and trying to find out what matters. The description of this book really doesn't say me that much. I'm not really sure what to expect from this book. I expect it to be a sad novel, of course, like many other novels about war. And it seems like one of the reasons why it's nominated is because it's written in a beautiful way, but taking time to reflect on the war and the circumstances. The next one is Second Place by Rachel Kusk. The book is called Second Place, it's not because it's number 2 here. The hardcover version is 186 pages, so it's not a long book. A woman invites a famed artist to visit the remote coastal region where she lives, in belief that his vision will penetrate the mystery of her life and landscape. His provocative presence provides the frame for a study of female fate and male privilege, of the geometries of human relationship, and of the struggle to live morally in the intersecting spaces of our internal and external worlds. I've actually tried reading that phrase for some time. I really can't decide what I think will happen in this book. Is it because English is my second language, or are these words understandable to you? I think I can already say that this is not a book that sounds very intriguing to me. So if someone of you can tell me what this book is about and maybe comment below. I would be grateful. I think we'll go over to the third one, The Promise by Damon Galgut. This book is also 304 pages as the first novel. Let's see if this is the trend. We don't know yet. The Promise charts the crash and burn of a white South African family living on a farm outside Pretoria. The Swartz are gathering for mass funeral. The younger generation, Anton and Amor, detest everything the family stands for, not least the failed promise of the black woman who has worked for them her whole life. After years of service, Salome was promised her own house, her own land, yet somehow as each decade passes, that promise remains unfulfilled. This actually makes sense, and this book I find intriguing. I think it will be a powerful novel, and it seems that the book has many things going on for it. Of course, I don't know which way this book is going to go, and that's some of the beauty. I know a little bit, but not everything, so it will be interesting to see. Number 4 is The Sweetness of Water by Nathan Harris, and the hardcover version is 368 pages, so the longest so far. In the waning days of the Civil War, brothers Prentice and Laundrie, freed by the Emancipation Proclamation, seek refuge on the homestead of George Walker and his wife, Isabel. The Walkers, racked by the loss of their only son in the war, hired the brothers to work on their farm, hoping through an unexpected friendship to stand their grief. Prentice and Laundrie, meanwhile, plan to save money for the journey north and the chance to reunite with their mother, who was sold away when they were boys. This really seems like a novel that's going to hurt reading. I really like the cover. It would be a novel I would like to read, but I'm not sure at this point. The 5th book is Clara and the Sun by Kazu Ishiguro, and this is by far the most popular book on the list so far. And this is of course a book I've seen all over Instagram and from booktubers in the last months. Funnily enough, this book has also 304 pages. I see a pattern now. And of course the author here is a famous author, and he has received the Nobel Prize for Literature earlier. Clara and the Sun tells the story of Clara, an artificial friend with outstanding observational qualities, who from her place in the store watches carefully the behavior of those who come in to browse, and of those who pass on the street outside. She remains hopeful that a customer will soon choose her. And I have to say, this is a very, very intriguing plot. I don't know if this book takes the completely artificial intelligence route and debates the troubles with technology, but this is one of the books that seems to be very interesting to me, at least. And of course it has been interesting to a lot of people. If that's because the author is one of the most famous on the list, I don't know, but I think I might want to read this book later on. Number 6 is An Island by Karen Jennings. The book is also one of the shortest with 119 pages. Samuel has lived alone for a long time. One morning he finds the sea has brought someone to offer companionship and to threaten his solitude. A young refugee washes up unconscious on the beach of a small island inhabited by no one but Samuel. An old lighthouse keeper, unsettled, Samuel is soon swept up in memories of his former life and the mainland. A life that saw his country suffer under colonizers, then fight for independence, only to fall under the rule of a cruel dictator. And he recalls his own part in its history. I think this also sounds like a very interesting book. To me, it sounds like the book has quite a simple plot. I'm guessing that a lot of things has happened in the past of both these men, I guess, but we'll have to wait and see. The next one is A Town Called Solas by Mary Lawson. This book is also in the gang of 302. It lacks 2 pages, but that should be sufficient. A Town Called Solace, a brilliant and emotionally radiant new novel from Mary Lawson, her first in nearly a decade, opens on a family in crisis. Rebellious teenager Rose, been missing for weeks with no word, and Rose's younger sister, the feisty and fierce Clara, keeps a daily vigil at the living room window, hoping her siblings return. Told through 3 distinct, compelling points of view, Clara's, Mrs. Orchard's, and Liam Kane's. The novel cuts back and forth among these unforgettable characters to uncover the layers of grief, remorse, and love that connects families, both the ones we're born into and the ones we choose. I think this novel seems like a very interesting novel. I also get the feeling that it's quite simple, but then again, I think and hope that the Booker Prize gives us great books. I don't know why I'm thinking it might be a simple novel. Something about what the Goodreads tells me about it. We don't get a lot of information here, but I like the thing about having 3 point of views. Have we come to number 8 now? I think this is number 8. No One is Talking About This by Patricia Lockwood. And this book is only about 210 pages long. As this urgent genre-defying book opens, a woman who has recently been elevated to prominence for her social media posts traveling around the world to meet her adoring fans, she is overwhelmed by navigating the new language and etiquette of what she terms the portal, where she grapples with an unshakable conviction that a vast chorus of voices is now dictating her thoughts. When existential threats from climate change and economic precariousness to the rise of an unnamed dictator and an epidemic of loneliness begins to loom, she posts her way deeper into the portal's void. An avalanche of images, details, and references accumulate to form a landscape that is post-sense, post-irony, post-everything. Are we in hell? The people of the portal ask themselves, are we all just going to keep doing this until we die? Wow, this sounds like a very existential book. Well, this actually sounds like a very, very up-to-date book and talking about an interesting theme. And I have to say I'm quite intrigued by the summary I just read for you. I think this book might surprise me in a good way. Number 9. Number 9, The Fortune Men by Nadifa Mohammed. The book is around 372 pages long. The story of a murder, a miscarriage of justice, and a man too innocent for his times. Mahmoud Matten is a fixture in Cardiff's Tiger Bay, 1952, which bustles with Somali and Western Indian sailors, Maltese businessmen, and Jewish families. He is a rather chancer, petty criminal. He is a smooth talker with rakish charm and an eye for a good game. He is many things, but he is not a murderer. So, a shoekeeper is killed and all eyes fall on him. For me, this text could be very interesting or not interesting at all. I don't really know. I have to say I wasn't too drawn into the plot, not by reading it to you at least. At number 10, we got Bewilderment by Richard Powers. It's around 288 pages. This is actually one of the books I've seen before. I've maybe seen many of the books before, but I remember this book cover because I like the feeling of the cover. The astrobiologist Theo Byrne reaches for life throughout the cosmos while single-handedly raising his unusual 9-year-old Robin following the death of his wife. Robin is a warm, kind boy who spends hours painting elaborate pictures of endangered animals. He is also about to be expelled from 3rd grade for smashing his friend in the face. As his son grows more troubled, Theo hopes to keep him off psychoactive drugs. He learns of an experimental neurofeedback treatment to bolster Robin's emotional control, one that involves training the boy on the recorded patterns of his mother's brain. Before the last sentence, I was really kind of meh. He learns of an experimental neurofeedback treatment to bolster Robin's emotional control, one that involves training the boy on the recorded patterns of his mother's brain. Yeah, maybe. I think its score will sink if it comes through to the next round. Of course, with many ratings, it tends to lower the rating of a book, but we'll see. At 11, we have China Room by Sanjiva Zahota. Its hardcover version is 256 pages. The follow-up to his Booker Prize shortlisted The Runaways, Sanjiva Zahota's new novel follows characters across generations and continents, from Punjab to rural England, and is equally heart-wrenching. I can't say that I really like heart-wrenching book because I always feel terrible afterwards, but that might be the point. China Room is at once a deft exploration of how systems of power circumscribe individual lives and a deeply moving portrait of the unconquerable human capacity to resist them. don't know if I have a comment on this book at this moment. I really don't know what to expect from this book. Coming in at number 12, it's Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. And this is one of the longest books on this list. It's 608 pages. Spanning Prohibition era Montana, the Pacific Northwest, Alaska, New Zealand, and wartime London and modern day Los Angeles. Great Circle tells an unforgettable story of a daredevil female aviator determined to chart her own course in life at any cost. After being rescued as infants from a sinking ocean liner in 1914, Marion and Jamie Graves are raised by their dissolute uncle in Missoula, Montana. There, after encountering a pair of barnstorming pilots passing through town in beat-up biplanes, Marion commences her lifelong love affair with flight. At 14, she drops out of school and finds an unexpected and dangerous patron in a wealthy bootlegger who provides a plane and subsidizes her lessons, an arrangement that will haunt her for the rest of her life, even as it allows her to fulfill her destiny, circumnavigating the globe by flying over north and sea poles. So this sounds like a very action-filled book and an interesting plot. Don't know where I'm going to put this book on my list. And lastly, we have Light Perpetual by Francis Bufford, and it's around 336 pages, so that's pretty average in this selection of books. Lunchtime on a Saturday 1944, the Woolworths on Bexford High Street in southeast London receives a delivery of aluminum saucepans. A crowd gathers to see the first new metal in ages. After all, everything's been melted down for the war effort. An instant later, the crowd is gone, incinerated. Among the shoppers were 5 children. Who were they? What futures did they lose? And this seems basically to be the rest of the books, exploring what could have been for these people. We'll now go over to which one of these were the highest rated ones at Goodreads. So the one with the highest score is Bewilderment by Richard Powers. That book has 4.47, but not a lot of reviewers. The next one was Sweetness of Water by Nathan Harris, and this one had around 4,000 ratings. At number 3 we have The Promise by Damon Goldgate, which had a rating around 4.17, and around 700 people have reviewed this book. And then at number 4 we have A Town Called Solas by Mary Lawson, 4.16, so in tight competition with number 3. But this book has 3,000 reviews on Goodreads. And then at number 5 we have Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. At this moment this has a rating around 4.15, so also in close competition, and has 8,500 reviews. So this one of course has the most reviews of the bunch. So when the shortlist comes out, we'll see how many of the top 5 books from Goodreads that comes into the list. Now I thought I'd go through my top 5 list, or the list of 5 books that I think I want to read of the ones that we've been through. If I'm going to read all 5, I don't know, but these are the 5 at this moment I'm most likely to read. The first one is also Bewilderment by Richard Powers, and the tagline, "How can we tell our children the truth about this beautiful imperiled planet?" is very intriguing to me, and if he's got the answers, I'd love to read about them. At number 2, it's also A Town Called Solas. It seems to have a very suspenseful plot, so I would love to read that book. I need more suspenseful books in my library, so that might be a contender. The third one on my list is No One Is Talking About This by Patricia Lockwood. Seems like this book is about what is life, what does it actually mean to be a human, but put in a modern context. So I think when I read about it earlier, it seemed very intriguing. And of course at number 4 we have Clara and the Sun by Kazu Ishiguro. And of course this book is so popular that is a factor in me wanting to read this book. If nothing else, only to participate in the discussion afterwards with the other people. But one of the taglines in the book is, "What does it mean to love?" But I like the discussion around artificial intelligence, and I hope that this book will deliver some of that for me. And the last one I picked for my list is An Island by Karen Jennings. I sat with a good feeling after reading about this book. Not a happy feeling, but a feeling that I might reflect on a couple of things when reading this book, and that's a positive. And it's by a South African author. I don't know if I read anything of a South African author earlier, so that is also a plus. So this was my very uneducated walkthrough of the Booker Prize longlist for 2021, not the international one, because the winner of that prize was elected earlier this year, as I know now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have comments for the books I've chosen for my top 5, or comments for which of the books from the long list that should belong in my top 5 as well, please comment below. I'd love to get more input on these books. I don't know what I could say about books that usually are elected for the Booker Prize long list. It seems to be a very varied list from what I could gather, but also a lot of books that seemed very boring to me, but that's just my opinion. So if you know any of these books and know that they're not boring, but I portrayed them as boring, please comment below and I'll consider reading them as well. I will try to make a video about the shortlist when the shortlist comes out, and I hope that some of my books will be on that list. Then I could feel that I'm very forward-leaning as a reader. So please subscribe if you want to get notified when the next video comes out, and we can argue about which books belong to the list. I will try to read some of the books from the long list by then, but we'll see how that goes. If you like these videos, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!